Once you get into your 70s, your 80s, and 90s, your brain mass decreases, your bone mass decreases, your muscle mass decreases. It's kind of depressing. What happens is, when I start curling or bench pressing, my ATP gets used up. Creatine holds more ATP and transfers it to your muscles real time without your body having to regenerate it. Creatine monohydrate is one of the most extensively studied and supported supplements in sports nutrition. Creatine supplementation is essentially like a backup. When your star player gets hurt, the backup is ready to jump into the game. Thus, you can put in more reps, you can supplement it, and you can take more to a reasonable extent. The pros and benefits of HMB are increased muscle mass and strength. And this was most important in individuals starting a brand new resistance training program. You know, when you first start doing the bench press or squats, you're so sore the next day. This helps with that a little bit. It reduces muscle breakdown. It's known as an anti-catabolic agent. Catabolic means you're breaking muscles down. Anabolic means you're building it up. Taking in protein, eating good food, that's more of an anabolic effect. HMB prevents the breakdown. It's like anti-catabolic effect. It's very beneficial in people undergoing fasting therapies, for example. If you're undergoing severe physical stress, like having to work 16-hour shifts at a factory lifting heavy stuff, that could do it. HMB may also improve recovery times by reducing muscle damage following prolonged or intense exercise. It's shown to particularly be effective for older adults. As we get into 70s and 80s, our muscle mass kind of goes over a cliff. This is such an important chart. As time goes on, we're initially young, we're healthy throughout our adult life, but our muscle mass starts to decrease. If we can keep it up, we will live our golden years strong and healthy. If our muscle mass decreases, our bone mass decreases, we go into the high risk zone. That bottom C line is essentially rehab, where you have to strengthen, boost yourself up. But why not just prep for the future? Take your HMB, creatine, and stay strong ahead of time. So taking both HMB and creatine, this drop off at about age 60, where our muscle mass starts to rapidly decline, we can prevent this ideally by strength training, by eating properly, the amount of protein, the amount of HMB.
Previously, I've covered the evidence surrounding supplementation for older adults with protein or amino acids like leucine. What about a metabolite of leucine, known as Beta-Hydroxy Beta-Methylbutyrate, known as HMB? Adding HMB to an exercise regimen fails across the board to improve muscle mass, muscle strength, or physical performance among older individuals, and since everyone should be exercising, that pretty much takes HMB off the table. But there are circumstances when you're laid up, for example, recuperating from a broken hip. Researchers in Spain randomized about 100 men and women over the age 65 in rehab recovering from a hip fracture to a nutritional supplement with about 3 grams of HMB, and they suffered less loss of fat-free mass compared to the control group who didn't get the supplement. Unfortunately, the supplement provided other components, so it's impossible to tease out the HMB effects, but regardless, there was no significant change in muscle strength or muscle function. This was roughly consistent with a 10-day bed rest study of straight HMB versus placebo, in which the HMB group similarly lost less lean mass, but only when an outlier was excluded, which isn't really kosher, and there was no apparent improvement in strength or function. This is what meta-analyses of all such studies have found: an improvement in fat-free mass in older sedentary adults with no change in strength or function, and no benefits for any muscle parameters when combined with physical activity. Since we all should be exercising, and there's a questionable benefit of lean mass for lean mass's sake, combined with the fact that HMB activates the engine of aging enzyme mTOR, I see little reason to recommend supplementing with HMB.
If you're an older adult, if you're going through therapy, if you have weakness, you can't get up, you can't walk, HMB might be something worth trying. Another study looked at HMB and vitamin D3 as a combo. They had pretty good results. Here's really the big secret. Supplements are not always the answer. In order: strength training, cardio, sleep, diet, and then supplements.